Is there anything that you do regret doing in this entire industry?
Be our tornado video. I regret making that video because it failed and I lost a lot of money.
What do you think you got to do to get on the same level as like a Mr. Beast?
Jimmy will never be me.
How are you doing?
That's a really, really good question. Welcome to the Blueprint Podcast. As you notice, we changed our name.
Yeah, we're very indecisive.
Yes, we are. But we think Blueprint is better for the future because here we want to help creators lay blueprints for their success. It sounds cliche, but it will make sense in a couple of years.
At least the logo looks cool.
Do we even have a logo yet?
Well, by the time this pod is out,
You're right.
we will have a logo.
We are designing logos as we speak, but you'll see. Anyways, dude, we're back.
We're back in the set. We got a little bit more decor.
A little bit more decor. So last week we answered some questions. This is our weekly podcast for those of you guys that are new. We basically talk 3 to 4 questions about the creator economy, how to grow, tons of things that we think this episode I think is actually going to be really, really interesting. We got some really good questions. You got some really good questions.
I've got some okay. Maybe they're interesting. They're interesting. But first off,
You showed me one question and it was interesting. I don't see these questions, by the way, so I'm completely oblivious to the fact. But
well, let's just start off with how are you doing? What'd you do today?
it's been a long day.
Can you tell the audience what's been going on?
Well, woke up super early, worked on a bunch of stuff. We've been filming since 8 a.m. It is now 4 p.m. And now I'm here.
What'd you film?
We filmed 3 different parts of 3 different videos and then a bunch of shorts.
It's just a nonstop grind today.
Yeah, pretty much.
Any troubling issues you run into today?
Dude, there's troubling issues every day. Well, first off, I was 2 hours late to the podcast because we had a lot of issues. We bought a new vehicle for one of the videos and it doesn't work well, so we were troubleshooting.
How much was that
that's
vehicle?
just
What is it? Okay, let's backtrack. I want you to tell the audience what you bought, how much you bought it for, and what you plan on using it for.
So we bought a vehicle. It's called a Sherp Arc. For those of you that are watching on video, we'll put a picture on screen for audio purposes. I apologize. Maybe you can look it up. It's a 10-wheel amphibious tank-looking military vehicle. It's really hard to explain how it works or functions, but yeah, we bought it for content.
How much you buy it for?
It was $250,000.
Oh, Jesus.
We actually got a discount because when they were brand new, they were like $400. So saved a little.
And you said you've already ran into issues with it?
Yeah, the tires won't inflate. It doesn't have brakes, so I rolled down the hill backwards. So
There's no brakes?
not really. I don't know why the brakes don't work. Like they sometimes work and they sometimes. Anyways, it's been a long day.
Well, that kind of follows up into my first question.
Why does
I just want to know. Well, first off, do you regret that purchase?
no, because I think we're gonna make a lot of really, really good content with it.
So you're kind of optimistic about the purchase right now.
Yeah, there's the back of it can be configured to make whatever you want because it has like a trailer on the back. So we could build anything we want. We could use it for so many videos. Like, yeah, I mean, it's a vehicle we're gonna keep for like 3 or 4 years and just make tons of content with. So
yeah, so you don't regret purchasing that, but is
No.
there anything that you do regret buying or regret doing in this entire industry throughout your entire creator career?
wow, any regrets?
And don't tell me that you regret not reading books 3 years ago.
That would be, if I did have a regret, that would be one. But no, I not really. So here's my thing, right? Like, I don't remember where I heard this off of. I think it was like a David Goggins podcast or something. But he was talking about how like, whenever you get to like, we just went from funny to real serious, all right? So I'm turning 180. But whenever you get to the end of your life, right? Let's say you're standing at the gates, you're dead, okay? You're standing at the gates, you're waiting to go into heaven or wherever, whatever religion you believe, and God or whoever that person is standing at that gate hands you a picture or a video, or maybe not a video, I don't know if there's videos up there, but he hands you what you could have been. And he lists out everything that you could have or what you were supposed to be in your life, but you're not that person. Regret is one of the things that you can't reverse. Think about it when you're 80 years old, maybe you're in the hospital, can't move very much, you're old, you don't move like you do today right now. There is certain things that you want to do that you must do now that you won't be able to do when you're later. And when you're old, I think you would trade everything you have to be your young self again. So if you're 80, no matter how much money, your, great family and friends you have, I think you would trade everything to be back in your 20s or back in your 30s, right? So I think regret is a powerful way to look at decisions you want to make, because ultimately, like at the end of your life, no one's really going to care. Like I feel like a lot of people make decisions because someone else is judging them or they want to look a certain way. People can say that they don't care about status, but ultimately status is like one of the most important things to humans. People want to be perceived a certain way by others and whatnot. So when you have to make certain types of decisions, you just I have always just pushed regret. Like there's no regret for me, because if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Like I'm not going to procrastinate. I'm not going to ponder around it and ask people. I'm just gonna do it and just see what happens. And so it's kind of like, no, I don't really have any regrets. I think if I did have regrets, I don't think I would be where I am today.
You kind of turn those, I guess, quote unquote regrets into learning lessons.
Yeah, because I just don't have any regrets. Because I could say like I regret making that video because it failed and I lost a lot of money, but that failure taught me and the team so many things. So I don't really regret that, because the amount of lessons that we learned from that failure are worth more than the monetary amount that failure was,
Yeah.
So I think the people that live life with regrets are just people that don't take action towards something. Because how can you have a regret if you just take action towards everything that you want to do?
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of want to dive more into failure, actually. Well, I'd love more of a fun question. I would love to dive into videos that you think were absolutely bangers, but they were actually absolute trash. If you have any in mind and you're like, what would you change differently about them? How many do you think you've done that you thought were really well, but then they just underperformed?
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good question. I think most of the videos that end up failures or end up being trash, or the failures that we learn a lot from, are the videos that we think we can make better and we've already done, but we don't make them different enough. So a perfect example was the bounty hunter video that we did. We did a video where we were being hunted by cops, and it was a super fun video. We had a ton of awesome scenes set up. We blew up a car, like all this crazy stuff, right? And the video went super, I think it did like 20 million views.
You did pretty good.
It was great. And then we decided to do a second one in a different country, because we have never seen anyone do that, like a bounty hunter chase in a different country. So we decided to do it in Mexico. So we doubled everything. I mean, we had a private jet that we escaped on. We had a crazy hotel. We rented out an entire train yard to film at. We went from a video that cost 20 grand to 150 grand.
Cool.
And the video just did terrible.
Do you know what it's at?
I think it's at 4 million views, maybe 5. I don't know. It's super low. But the point is, it wasn't different enough. It was the same idea, but we just threw more money at it.
Just changed locations, but that wasn't enough to actually differentiate from the first version.
Yeah. It's kind of another example. We played, so when we first got the Island House, the property that we film in, we did a hide and seek video. And at the time, our audience loved hide and seek. They thought it was like the best thing ever. And I'm sure they still do. But we did a hide and seek video. I think it did like 20 or 30 million views. Just a normal hide and seek. But it was cool because we had this crazy property that we just bought. So we're like, oh, let's play hide and seek in it. Where can we hide? Can we hide in the water? Can we hide in the attic? You know, like tons of different places. But so that hide and seek video did super good. So we were like, oh, what if we did hide and seek, but we did it in a stadium, like a really big place? So we rented out an entire NFL stadium. It cost $100,000 to rent out this stadium for a day. And then on top of that, we had to fly out tons of different creators. We had a huge prize pool. I think that video was probably $150,000 to $200,000 to film and put it together. We also had to hire extra editors to edit it because I think we had like 90 hours of footage. Yeah, because the hide and seek lasted for like 12 hours and we had like 20 cameras rolling or something crazy. Anyways, video completely flopped. I don't know how many views it has right now, but I think it only got like 3 or 4 million views. So it did not make any money. Didn't have a brand deal on it or anything. So
That's tough.
yeah,
You didn't have a brand deal on it?
no.
That's your first mistake.
But it's just but here's the issue is we took the same idea and we just threw more money at it. Just because you throw more money or make the idea in a different location doesn't mean it's going to perform better. I think if we would have done these ideas completely differently, it would have worked a lot better. Because ultimately, it's not giving our audience like a new opportunity to look at. Like they're looking at it like it's a video we've already done. It's not something new to them. It's not refreshing. Maybe it's just the way we package the video. I'm not sure because I think the video was an absolute banger. I do. I was like, this video, 50 million views, easy. Like we get, you know, and then
We were pretty excited.
the day
for
it
that.
uploaded, I just cried. So not really, but I, internally.
If you had to choose one of the videos that failed and redo it again, which one would you do and how would you do it differently?
I would probably redo the bounty hunter chase in Mexico. But I would make the idea completely different. I don't know how I would do it, but I wouldn't even do a bounty hunter chase. It would be something completely different, not even the same. It might even not be a bounty hunter chase. It might be just a completely different idea. Cuz I don't know, it's hard because some of these ideas are one-off and it's hard to build momentum on them. And some of them can build momentum easily. And every single audience reacts differently as well. And the only way you figure this out is by getting into like being in the creator game and just making more and more and more content. Like for example, the filling the house videos does super well, but a lot of them are very similar. We filled the house with balls and then we did peanuts and then we did, trampolines, right? Those ideas are very similar. It's just filling the house with something. They're not much different, right? In a way, it's kind of a new like lens for the viewers. Like it doesn't feel the same because it's like, oh, ball pit balls are cool, but now you filled your house with trampolines. What? That's completely new. Like I've never seen that before,
Yeah.
So like, with going to the first bounty hunter video to the second one, it's like the same thing. You just threw a lot more money at it.
And just a different spot. It's not like super different to where people actually want to click on it.
Yeah, it's honestly really hard, dude. It's like it's not like creating content for an audience is never like a straightforward path because you can imagine what the audience wants and you can ask them what they want. But ultimately, I believe the best creators give videos to their audience that they don't even ask for. An example of this would be like when so before Apple introduced the iPod, everyone had those big CD players, right? They were chunky, and then Apple released the iPod, changed the world, right? No one asked for the iPod. Not a single person, right? No one asked for it, but it was a product that changed the world. So Steve Jobs was able to come out with a product before the audience demanded a product like that. And then they were able to build on it and do a ton of variations, then eventually come out with the iPhone and everything else that Apple came out with. So But the only way you get into that kind of rhythm is just by making a ton of content and just seeing what sticks. It's really hard to do it. It's really hard to like, I struggle to sit down and just brainstorm ideas and look at an idea. I can sometimes look at an idea and be like, oh yeah, that's unique. That's cool. That's different. Like our audience is going to love it. And then sometimes we'll post it and it's like the worst video we've ever done, you know? It's just so hard to tell. It really is. It's like, and actually most of the ideas that I expect to do bad, because sometimes I'll see an idea and I'm like, okay, this idea, I don't really like it, but I think my audience will like it. Because there's a difference between you as a creator liking an idea and your audience liking it. Like our recent video, it was I survived a nuke, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did that video because I thought our audience was going to love it, but I didn't really like the idea. I thought it was kind of boring. I thought it was stale. But the video, like, it kind of was based on a lot of old content we make where me, James, and Gabe just kind of like survive and, you know, just mess with each other. I did not like the idea, but I made it because I felt like our audience would really love it because it was kind of based on old videos that we make where me, James, and Gabe are just kind of stuck somewhere and we're just messing with each other, right? And I didn't really want to do the idea because I thought it was old. I was like, man, this feels like a video that we would make like 4 years ago. It feels like we didn't progress, you know? But we packaged the video really well, which I was proud about. I thought the title and the thumbnail was really good. And then when we released it, it was a 1 out of 10. It beat our tornado video. And the tornado video was one of the biggest videos we've launched ever. And I was just like, what? So like sometimes you have to be able to identify videos that you might not enjoy creating, but the audience will love.
Yeah, I think there's a balance there. I think the balance is creating videos you want to make and then videos that your audience wants to see. That middle ground is really important. And I think that's where you will see high performing videos.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, as a creator, you should make videos that you really enjoy. Because if you're making a video and you don't enjoy it, people are going to tell. Like, they're going to see it through the lens, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to see the way you act, the way, you know, it's very easily seeable. But yeah, it's just weird. There's a lot of videos, like there's some videos that I get super, super excited to film. And there's some videos where I'm just like, all right, let's get it done. You know? Yeah. And sometimes those videos where I'm just like, all right, let's get it done. Like sometimes those are our best videos. I don't know why. So it's almost like maybe I'm just in like waves of like burnout and you just got to like push through it. Maybe that's what it is. 'Cause I truly believe that like you just got to do things when you don't feel like it. And there's a lot of days I don't feel like filming and we end up filming and sometimes we get our best videos out of it. So it's kind of like when you go to the gym. Like there's a lot of days you don't feel like going to the gym, but those days where you don't feel like going to the gym, you usually work out the hardest and you just crush the workout. So,
well, I'm interested to get your thoughts on this. I want to know, we've obviously been seeing a lot of the beastification videos. I think story is starting to take over again. I want to get your thoughts on what do you think makes a good story on YouTube?
That's a really, really good question. Well, so storytelling on YouTube is much different than most traditional storytelling. The problem with that is people are used to content being a lot quicker now because of shorts. So stories have to be told faster. They just do. People's retention is just shorter. Like they're used to like looking at shorts and just getting what they want instantly. So the long form videos have to kind of adapt with that economy. So I think storytelling, like ultimately, I think it's just going to revolve around your idea because for our videos, the best stories that we've told with our videos have the best ideas behind them, not the story itself. And the stories usually unfold with the idea or the challenge, whatever it is. So a perfect example would be our tornado video. We went on this tornado trip. It was 2 weeks long. We had nothing planned, but for whatever reason, it unfolded the best story for our video. We had nothing planned for this video. We literally just showed up and filmed it. We had no idea what to expect. We've never the guys that were our storm chasing guides, Max and Aaron, never met them in our lives. I mean, we had some calls with them just to, prep safety. But we, and the first day we got there, we almost saw a tornado. We were this close to seeing a tornado. And I was like, wow, this is kind of perfect for the video because right in the beginning, we're almost going to see it. And then the next day, it was kind of a dead day. Next day was a dead day. Next day, we saw a bunch of tornado damage. So it was kind of like building some tension around how serious tornadoes are. And then it slowly just built up. And literally our last day of the trip, we saw a huge wedge tornado, one of the most destructive tornadoes in the world. The story just played itself.
Yeah, it kind of just like folded out in front of us.
Yeah, and maybe we got lucky, right? Maybe we just got lucky. It could have been the opposite scenario where the first day we saw the tornado and then the rest of the days we saw nothing. And then it's like, whoa, what do we do with this video now? But I just feel like the best ideas, the stories will support them, the way you storytell. And ultimately, I think storytelling is a skill. I don't think it's not something that you can learn from sure, you can maybe take a course about it and talk to people and read books. I think that's super, super good. But ultimately, storytelling is just you're going to learn it as you do it more and more and more. And the better you get at storytelling, the better you're going to get at keeping your audience hooked. But ultimately, it all funnels down to that idea, right?
Yeah.
Because you can have the best story, but if the overall movie just sucks, like the idea is just lame, or it's been done 100 times, like no one's going to be interested. So,
yeah, I want to touch on attention spans. Do you think it's easier to develop a story with short form content, or do you think it's still more difficult doing it long form? Because in my opinion, I feel like for short form content, you're trying to squeeze so much within a 30 to 45 second TikTok or YouTube short.
The problem is like you can't, it's hard to tell a really good story over shorts because the best stories get people's emotions invested into them. And when you're emotionally invested into a video or a movie, you really want to watch to the end and see what happens. And it's really hard to do that on a 60-second short or TikTok. It can be done. It's just very difficult. And, maybe if you start with something emotional right off the bat, maybe. But like, I don't know. I also feel that stories can be told in any lengths, right? You could have a great story in 60 seconds. You could have a great story in 25 minutes across a long video. I think it depends on what the story is and what the idea is. I think they both work. I think it just depends on what kind of story you're trying to tell. And I think usually the longer you can drag out the story, the more emotion it could make. I'm kind of thinking of like our tornado video. Like if our tornado video was a 60-second short, there's no way. Maybe we could make it entertaining, but it would be so difficult to hit all the same emotion and the same music and the same feeling that we got across the journey. Like it just, I don't know, it would be difficult.
I want to get your thoughts on short form content and what do you how do you think it can benefit a creator, or do you think over time it'll hurt a creator? What are your overall thoughts on short form?
I think you have to look at short form content as a new way to create. I think it's a tool. I think some people look at it the wrong way, like, oh, it's going to destroy long form and all this stuff. I don't think that's ever going to happen. You're telling me there's going to be a day where no one's going to want to watch a 10-minute YouTube video or a 10-minute video online? Come on, really? If that day comes, I think creativity doesn't exist anymore. Like, I think we have a better chance of creativity just not existing in our planet than we do that not. Because, like, think about movies. You think movies are going to go extinct? No. I think people will always want to watch movies. There's no way there's going to be a world one day where movies don't exist. So I think you have to look at short-formed content as a tool to use to grow, and it's just another way to create. If you think about it, creators can create in so many different ways. I can write blog posts, I can do Instagram stories, I can post Instagram photos, I can make TikToks, I can make long form YouTube videos, I can make, blogs. I think I already said that, but and it's just a new way to create. But you also have to respect where the audience and the economy is shifting, right? There's a lot of attention on short form content because a lot of people enjoy it. The audience has kind of shifted over there and they really, really enjoy, think about it. Like you're waiting for your lunch order, right? You got a quick 5-minute break. What are you going to do? Probably going to pop open TikTok or Instagram. You're going to scroll through like 7 or 8 videos and you're going to put down your phone and grab your food and go, right? It's easier to digest. It's almost addicting for a lot of people. It's very addicting. I've seen it in a lot of friends and a lot of people that are close to me, and they just can't get off TikTok. Like, you ever have that friend that just can't get off TikTok?
I'm
Like
that
they're just always scrolling on TikTok. Maybe they're at a dinner. It's literally an addiction.
Yeah.
So the audience loves it, right? I don't think it's going to hurt creators. I think it's just going to help them because there can still be really great brands built on short form content. There can be, incredible brands can be built off short form. It kind of also depends on what your goals are too as a creator. I think everyone has different goals. I think, like, for example, if my goal was to create an e-commerce store where I sold little widgets or camera add-ons or whatever, I would probably do a lot of short form content because I think a lot of my audience is consuming that, right? So it kind of depends on what your goals are, and you kind of got to go where that audience is. A lot of our audience is still consuming long form content. Definitely there's a lot consuming short form as well, but I would say it's probably like half and half because our views have been affected a little bit. We usually average around 150 to 200 million monthly views without any shorts, and we've kind of dropped down to like 120-ish, but that's also because we're uploading a lot less, I feel like, so it's kind of hard to tell. But I do see an impact in long form views because of shorts, because a lot of the attention has been taken off of the long form. But I think when you look at the vision of how people consume content, it's just another tool that people can use. It's not like it's going to replace long form. That's insane. That is such an absurd statement. If you think long form, or if you think short form content is going to replace long form, then that means movies are out too. Because I don't know. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Do you think that short form content has made it more difficult to make long form content? I think short form videos have decreased a lot of attention spans. I think it made it harder for people to make long form videos, but it also brought the best creators out because those creators know how to tell those stories and keep attention. And I think with short form, you really saw the people that are thriving in storytelling actually on the come up.
I think if anything, it would give long form creators an advantage because I think more people, so many creators are putting so much time into short form, and that would ultimately create less competition for long form. So therefore, long form is more superior.
Can you see long form vertical content becoming a thing? Like 30-minute TikToks.
Yes.
You're scrolling and then the vertical video is 30 minutes long.
Yeah, probably. I could see that being a thing.
If you had to pick one of our videos and turn it into a short, which one do you think would have the most success? So converting an entire concept to a TikTok, which one would you do?
Like a whole 20-minute video?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think, here, you answer and I'll give my thoughts.
I want to say something different than the tornado video, but I feel like that's just one of the best stories that we've put out in the past year.
I think
so I'm going to say that one.
I think any of their filling the house videos would crush as a short form
That
video, as a TikTok.
that could be, yeah.
As like, you could probably tell that story in 45 seconds and it would go viral.
Yeah, and it would still probably hit the same way.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of emotions in that video. It's more of just like a wow factor.
It's more of a reaction
Yeah.
and more of just a grand spectacle that you could do something that most people can't. I think that's going to be pretty attention grabbing. And I think it has more reach on short form platforms.
Yeah.
I think we should test that.
That could be interesting.
Take the footage, convert it into a short, or film it natively for a short. So we just redo it somewhere in a different house.
Oh yeah, just redo the whole video.
I mean, you never know, dude. It could bang. I mean, think about it this way. Mr. Beast makes short form content, but none of that is taken out of his videos, right? They're
Mhm.
all originals.
Yeah, but his short form content's on like another level. His short form content is the equivalent of most creators' long form content in terms of the idea and the production value and the money spent into it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think like a filling the house video is on the same level as like a Mr. Beast short
Yeah, I could agree with that.
in spectacle.
Yeah.
What level do you think it'll take for you to get on Jimmy's level? What do you think you got to do?
To be completely honest, I'm not really trying to get on his level because there's ultimately no competition there. I mean, he's so far ahead. Like, the only way for me to stand out and grow is just to do things differently. Sure, we can take like some concepts of his and do them differently because we have very similar audiences. But me and him have both been doing. That's the other thing is like a lot of people compare me to Mr. Beast, which I would agree. Like our content's pretty similar. The thumbnails look pretty similar, but we've been doing content for the same amount of time. I've been doing this challenge type content for like 4 to 5 years. He's been doing it for like 4 to 5 years too. You know, I mean, he's been doing YouTube for like 10, but whenever he started doing like challenge type content was only like 5 or 6 years ago. And I actually didn't know about Mr. Beast until I saw the first video I saw from him was his last to leave the circle with a bunch of YouTubers. And at that time, I think he was at like 20 million subs, maybe more, maybe less. I don't know.
That was your first time you saw him?
That was my first time I ever like saw him.
That's insane.
Yeah. Like he was already like deep into challenges and I was also deep into challenges and I found him and I was like, whoa, how have I not heard of this guy? Like he's been, and then I think like right after that, I got invited out to his airsoft thing. And then we ended up winning that like battle royale thing. So that was like when I first heard about him. It was like that year. But anyways, my point is, there's no competition. I mean, man's got like 250 employees. He doesn't sleep. He literally like lives in his office, which is great for him. But it's just like the level of dedication is unmatched. The only way to compete with someone that is that far ahead and that dedicated is to do it differently. Like making our videos better or better stories or whatever is just not going to cut it. Like, because he's always going to have the better idea, the bigger idea, the more expensive idea, the capital to put into that idea. So ultimately, we have to create ideas that are just different. Now, most people might say they look the same because the thumbnails look similar and they're bright colored and whatever. But the ideas are a lot different. If you watch one of Jimmy's videos and then you come watch like our tornado video, they're totally different. Like they're not even close to being the same. I mean, sure, maybe they're fast-paced cuts, maybe they're fast-paced intros, but we're only doing that because we have to keep up with the economy of creators. And if we don't do that, it's going to kill our retention. And ultimately that video wouldn't even pass 1 million views.
Yeah.
Like it's just, we have to keep up. That's another thing about short form. Short form, ever since short form was introduced, we had to start cutting all of our intros and making everything faster and start optimizing for retention. My videos 3 years ago had 30-second intros of me explaining what we were going to do. And they still had incredible like 40, 50% retention on like a 20-minute video, right? And as short form content, and this was before shorts were even a thing on YouTube. This was like when TikTok was just starting up. I mean, this was probably like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But ever since shorts came along, people's attention spans got shorter and shorter and shorter because shorts are shorts. They're short, you know? But so we ultimately had to adjust. We had to make our intros quicker, more snappier. We had to show people things instead of tell them. We used to tell people what we were going to do. I used to be like, guys, I'm about to take this car and run over this, and then after that, I'm going to go do this. Now we can't do that. We just have to do it like right away. There's no telling the audience. You just have to do it. So that adaptation over the years has made us, I guess, kind of make content similar to Jimmy, most people might say. But ultimately, if we didn't adapt and make our content faster paced, I don't think our channel would exist. I really don't. I think we'd be 8 million subscribers back. I think we'd still be struggling. And sure, some people can maybe say, well, you could have found your own path and storytelling and stuff like that. And it's just like, maybe I'm a good storyteller, but it's not what I'm great at. I think I'm better at just defining like really unique ideas. Like when we filled our house, when we turned it into trampolines. You know, one of the things we built the world's biggest cardboard house. Like I haven't seen anyone do that. So I think that's our specialty, is just defining really unique ideas that no one's really attempted, or maybe they have attempted, but we just do it 10 times bigger, because ultimately that's what's going to stand out. That's another thing, to go back to your point about the bounty hunter thing. Now that I think about it, going from the first bounty hunter video to the second one was just a small improvement. It was a lot more money spent on our end. It felt like a big improvement from the inside, but to the audience, it wasn't a big improvement. And I think that's why it didn't work so well. If it would have been a 10x improvement or a 20x improvement in the idea, maybe it could have been something that actually went viral or did really, really well. So
you mentioned that you discovered MrBeast as he was hitting 20 million subscribers. Is that because you weren't consuming a lot of YouTube back then? And do you find yourself consuming a lot more YouTube now than before?
Yeah, I didn't really. Well, I'm kind of the same I am now. I don't really watch a lot of YouTube. I like watching different content. Like I watch like personal development content and stuff like that. Like I don't really watch like other YouTubers at all, really.
Do you think it's important to watch creators that aren't a part of your niche?
Yes and no. Yes, because it could be important for you to see what's out there and to just see what other people are doing. But no, because sometimes when you watch too much of a creator, you want to be like them, because our brain ultimately is trained to follow someone that is doing better than us and just kind of to outdo them. We're just trained like that as humans. It's like, oh, I'm going to watch this creator. Oh, he did a cool video. I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm just going to make it way better. But that's not how you stand out ultimately. So we're trained to just follow that person in front of us. That's kind of what I did in the beginning of my career. That's why we talk about going from like a cook to a chef, you know? Which is actually a study kind of from like Seth Godin. But he talks about, you know, when you start off your journey, you're a cook. So you follow the recipe of others, right? Which is pretty much what every creator does. They see what works, they see what other successful creators are doing, and they do it similar, maybe a little different, but not too different. And then as you go down your path, you turn into that chef and you start to craft your own recipe that's completely unique, because ultimately no one can beat you on you being your own personality, right? Like I will never be Jimmy, but Jimmy will never be me. That is my advantage, right? And that's every creator's advantage. And that's one of the best things about being a creator, because if you are authentically yourself in your content, people are going to connect with that. And ultimately, no one can compete with that. No one can compete with Joe Rogan because he's the most authentic version of himself and people love him for him. So no one can be better than Joe Rogan can be at himself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get you.
So, and I think a lot of creators kind of put on like for the first couple years of them creating content, they kind of put on like an act, you know? And I did the same thing. I put on an act. Like when the camera was rolling, I was like a completely different person. You know, I was like super high energy. I just, and the camera cut, I was just like, was not the same person. And as my content evolved, I slowly just started to be that more authentic person. When the camera stops rolling, I am the same person pretty much. Like not much changes. My energy will go down a little bit, obviously, because like I gotta have a little bit more energy when I'm about to run over a car or do something cool. But, you know, it's just, yeah, I mean, that's like one of your biggest advantages as a creator is just being yourself because no one can compete with you on that ultimately. So I think to go back to the question, I think there is no way that I am directly competing with Mr. Beast. I don't even see him as competition. A lot of people think we're competing because they're like, oh, you guys are doing similar candy. Oh, or you guys are doing similar content. Oh, you guys both launched products in Walmart. Like, sure, maybe I'm following his footsteps, but I'm like not trying to. I'm literally doing my own thing, even with this media stuff. Like this is my own path, right? So I don't know. It's hard. I guess from an outsider's perspective, it looks like we're doing similar things. But I think if you spent a day with each of us, you'd be like, oh man, yeah, they're totally different people, the way they operate, the way they think, the way they're, you know, looking at the future 10 years ahead. Like Jimmy sees the future way different than I do. So
yeah, I mean, standing out, that's the most important part. That creates, you know, unique ideas. It creates unique branding. And ultimately, that's what we want to teach you guys here on this podcast, which means I'm out of questions. So make sure you guys submit your questions for next week. We're going to go ahead and close out. Any final words? No Jim Ron today, though.
no.
All right. Bye.